Okay, good morning. Welcome to Self-Care Saturday with Indy Jones, in which we're going to talk about self-care, talk about resilience, but very specifically as it relates to being a Black person in the 21st century. And today I am very proud and honored to have two wonderful guests. And this is actually the first time in which I've had a man and a woman present together. I typically divide it based on genders because my books are that way. So this is really nice to have that conversation, kind of like that family man woman conversation together. So I'm going to allow my guests to introduce themselves, and we're going to begin with Miss Price.
Hi, greetings. Thank you once again for having me on. I guess I'm like your show, your podcast. I am truly honored. My name is Letitia Price, of course. That is my given name. I am branded under Ayoka Yamina when it comes to my social entrepreneur life. But however, I am a Morgan State graduate and a lecturer in the Family and Consumer Science Department. And I've been doing that for about 6 years, maybe 6 or 7 years now. But however, I have a whole bunch of stuff under my belt, y'all. I been self-employed for about 20 years, owning a natural hair care salon in the inner city of Baltimore, called the Sacred House of Roots. I do have a co-owner with that too, as well. Not to mention, I am a co-host of the XTY show, which we actually interview local artists, creatives, entrepreneurs, musicians. It is anybody who's doing something wonderful in Baltimore, Maryland. And we actually do go beyond that as well. And I do have another community that I run called the Lightworker Society. So that's where I pretty much do a lot of my life purpose work. So, oh, and I have some new stuff that's out now that we're working on. I think we can kind of share it a little bit, but I'm gonna be very not as transparent about it. But we are working on a reality show, so I am one of the cast members of that show where we are highlighting women who are entrepreneurs who are doing amazing things in Baltimore. So not just highlighting the side of where, you know, how you watch most reality shows and everybody is fighting and it's drama, but this is more about empowerment. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
And before we get to Jarvis, let people know how they can reach out to you. You gave a lot of great information there. We know Morgan, that's you can go online and
Mhm.
find Letitia Price, but you talk about your chosen name and your business. So how can people find you online?
I can be found on IG at Everybody Loves Ayoka. And I don't know if you want me to spell it, but
Yes, please.
yeah, so everybody, of course, EVERYBODY, loves LOVES, Ayoka, AHYOKA. And I'm on Facebook too, as well as Ayoka Yamina.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I will actually post all the information on the website. Thank you, thank you. And Jarvis also wears many hats. So introduce yourself and let the audience know exactly where they can find you as well, please.
Okay, thank you again for having me on. I am extremely appreciative. I am Jarvis Sheffield, the coordinator of the media centers at Historic Tennessee State University. We also um, run the Imagineering Lab Makerspace, where we teach students multimedia, VR, 3D printing, animation, things of that nature. I am the diversity track director with Dragon Con, and also I created Black Science Fiction Society. This is our 13th year. Black Science Fiction Society is a social network for people around the world that like science fiction that look like us. And then also I manage a number of different Facebook groups, one being, of course, Black Science Fiction Society, Black Comic Creators, and Afrofuturism Central.
And I'm a member of all those. Nice, nice. Well, welcome. And we're just going to jump right in. And I think some of your introductions actually lend itself to some of these questions. So, the first question: what does it mean to be a Black woman or a Black man? in the 21st century? And then Jarvis, we're going to start with you. We're kind of going to go back and forth.
All right, that's being a Black man in this century. It's an interesting and challenging situation. I tell people I claim Black and African American because I claim all of the African stuff that we did before we got here and all of the fantastic things that we've done under the worst possible conditions since we've been here. So I have dual citizenship, but it's a constant struggle and challenge, but one that that we're up to the task to do.
Thank you. T?
Okay, so yes, that is a very interesting question. We speak about it all the time in my classes. And to me, to be a Black woman in the 21st century, man, it's like one of these things where it feels very enlightening, but at the same time, it still feels kind of restricted, if that makes sense. But I do feel like right now, this is the opportunity where we as women are now becoming more independent. So to me, I feel like it's about my independence. It's about me being self-sufficient. Now I can operate and move in a space where I can be who I am, like my most authentic self, without feeling like, I mean, you may have some people still being a little judgy, but overall, because I know I am different. But overall, to me, it's really about me being able to have my individualism. I think I said that right. My own individuality within the 21st century, within my surrounding of people that I associate with too as well.
Good, that's good. Thank you. So, what words, images, and or people come to mind when you think of the word resilience? And then T, you can go first with that one. Words,
Um,
images, or people.
okay, so what word comes to mind? I think of recovery, strong, um, mm, people. When I think of resilient, does it have to be someone that's
It's it's
just
however you answer.
okay? Okay, when
Yeah.
I think of resilient, honey, let me tell you, I I'm like, hold on, let me put myself in that category first. Okay, I see resiliency, a whole lot of that within my own self and my grandmother. She's like my earth angel. She's a very resilient woman. You
And
want me
so,
to tell you about her? I
yeah,
can
you could talk about
go on
your
and on.
grandmother.
And I only say that because she's really rooted in her Christian values, so she's really strong faith based. But she's always helped me to overcome. So my resiliency comes from her. So she's just always had this. It's just something about her. That's why I call her Earth Angel. I call myself a light worker, but I never knew what a light worker was, and I was actually dealing with one. So light workers are just literally earth angels. And my grandmother, I've been calling her that forever, but I would be going through stuff and she would just call out of nowhere and be like, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And I'm like, how does she know this? Right. But she she would always pour into me. And I really feel like that's where this part of me comes from. At least, 50% of me comes from her with that. But she helped me in so many different ways. And just hearing her story and everything that she's overcoming. She's a breast cancer. She has breast cancer and had it for like 8 or 9 years, never had treatment, never did therapy, just basically functioning off of her faith and her lifestyle. She's in her 70s now. So, and it's just watching her and seeing how she has evolved in so many different ways now. And that when I see resiliency, I see that woman.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. What about you, Jarvis? Words, images, or people to come to mind?
All right. The words that come to mind are, of course, strength, adaptability, and I would say stick to itiveness. And I'm going to default to my parents, both my dad and my mom. My dad didn't finish high school. My mom finished high school, and I saw them work. Both of them worked. My dad worked at the metal foundry at home, and my mom worked at the hospital. And I saw them getting up every day before day, and sometimes my dad would be home before it got dark, working hard in a foundry. And they were making a way for all 6 of us. I'm number 6 out of 6, so I'm the baby. But seeing them work hard in whatever issues that came their way, they figured a way out to do it, and also not being afraid to start from the ground up on things. Um, and my father has passed, but my mom is still around. She'll be 85 this year.
Wow.
Um, and so she has outlived all 8 of her other siblings. And she still gets up and is cooking, taking care of one of the grandkids and doing stuff around the house. And um, I've seen this as a template to operate from my entire life. So my parents definitely are top on that list. But the words strength, adaptability, and stick-to-itiveness come to mind.
Wow, great for your mother. And I have another question, and I'm going to put it here because I think both of you kind of led with it when you reference your family and the importance of them in helping to build your resilience, but also really serving as a great role model. So in the book, in both of them, I have a section entitled, in the men's book, it's, the man with helping hands. And then with the women, it's the women with helping hands. So it's about the importance of community. And we have different types of community, whether it's, the community in your home, your work community, perhaps there's something that networking or communities in your neighborhood, but we have different communities that we are members of. And some of them we fit in really well. And some of them, depending on what's going on, they may chafe a little bit. So what does community mean to you? And Jarvis, you can go first.
Community to me is a group of people working together for the common good of their families. And you first, I think your neighborhood, well, your immediate family, that's one, because that's a big community. I have hundreds of cousins. And growing up, I never went over people's house and things of that nature. I had so many cousins that they came over our house and we went over each other's house, things of that nature. But your immediate family, then your neighborhood. I had a positive neighborhood that was old school where if I did something, they had permission to give it to me right there on the spot. And then,
Uh-oh.
of course, sometimes I get a whooping for three whoopings for the same thing. I do something where my mom and dad are gone, and I get a whooping by the neighbor. Then they tell my mom, because my mom got home first. Mom tear me up, and then mom to hype the story up and told my dad. So I get another whooping when he gets home. But it was all in the name of training me up right. It wasn't like, oh, we're just gonna beat this kid or something. It was about making sure that I knew right and wrong, and I had the discipline. And then also, I have a church background. My mom was, well, both of my parents really, but my mom really stressed learning in the church. And I had a choice when I was younger. Okay, you're gonna go to Sunday school, you're gonna go to church. So most of the time I would pick a Sunday school because it was shorter. But I learned so much in Sunday school, the way our teacher taught us, and just that community, as you say, um, they came together to train me up right and to make sure that I would become a success as an adult. So church, your neighborhood, and your immediate family. Those are the uh, the groundwork for community.
Yeah. And all that put together really helps with our what resilience, right? What about you, T?
When I think of community, first I do think of my soul tribe that's within my community. And my soul tribe is the people that I really connect with, that support me, that love me. They're based of community for me. It's like one of those things where you have that feeling of fellowship. So it's just like connecting with people, not even if it's just in my neighborhood wise, but community to me is just having the same common ideas, likeness, that also comes to mind when I think of community and when I think of people in my surroundings. I have so many different communities though that I am a part of.
Yeah.
So it's like a networking thing for me, but also like a family. It's like, how do you pull that in together? Because everyone who is a part of my community, we have some type of connection with each other, whether it's business related, whether it's me just helping, or serving, or whether it's me facilitating, or just my people that really just love me genuinely and care for me. But overall, and I have a community at Morgan State University. So to me, it's just like a whole bunch of people that can collectively come together who have the same common goal. Not always the same ideas, but we're all there for the same reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you bring up the point about community is that you as an individual, we are members of a lot of different ones, and they connect to different parts of us, I would say. They may serve a different purpose as far as, because we're very complex individuals. So every community doesn't have to be everything to you.
Right.
But so your Morgan community, that serves a certain purpose, and they may not bleed over into other things that you do, and they don't have to, right? Because it's all different parts of T or different parts of Jarvis.
Yes.
That's good. So I'm gonna let you go first this time, T, and I'm gonna give you guys um, an option. Okay, two choices. So you can either describe a time in your life in which you weren't as resilient as you wanted or needed to be, or you can describe a time in your life in which you felt truly resilient.
Mm.
So many choices, I'm sure,
I
on
know.
both sides.
So I'm gonna speak on, I don't know what happened to my light just now. Something just went. I'm gonna speak on, I guess, my now. I'm trying to learn how to stay present.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm at my most resilience now than I've ever been before. Now, I am going through quite a few things, especially with my son, transitioning into a whole new purpose for myself. So my resiliency is kicking in so strong, where before a lot of things I may have been triggered by in the past where I wasn't as resilient and I stayed in a very dark place for a very long time. Now I'm able to literally face the mirror and hit it just head on. You know how it's one of those things where something's coming up, you're triggered, some type of emotion is there, and it's like, bam, all right, what is this? Why am I feeling this way? Really confronting it and breaking it down and processing it so I can move on to the next task and not stay stuck. My son right now is going through some stuff where he found out he has a genetic disorder, and it has led to why he had a brain tumor when he was 3. And now he's dealing with certain types of tumors now that we have to come at, and it's a lot of more stuff that we got to do. And I did have my moment where I felt not as strong, but I've taken all of my lessons that I've learned over the years, and I've been putting all of that together. And I'm like, I really am stronger. Like, my son chose me as his mother because he knew I would be resilient enough and strong enough to be able to help him navigate through these periods of his life. And just overall in general, it's like right now I can see my strength, I can see my growth over the years. You guys, well, you know me, and I know I kind of like wear a mask really well sometimes, and sometimes I may come and be like, you can read it all over my face. But for the most part, I have not been I feel like me personally have not been a strong person as I should have been. I was more I was always in survival mode. So I think that's where my strength was coming from, is because it's like, I gotta survive. But now it's not that survival mode. It's one of those things where I'm like, you know what? I am a conqueror. I am strong. I am confident. I am healed. I can do this. Like, this is another thing that's in my life that I know that I can overcome. And I know that we have what it takes to be able to do that.
Oh, so much there. I can't mind all of that. But I think you said a great word, which is growth.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's critical. And there isn't any to be strong and to be resilient. It doesn't mean that you aren't going to break down. As a matter of fact, depending on what you're going through, it will probably be a person who isn't particularly healthy who never breaks down. That is okay. I think that's part of what we have to accept, that to be strong, that you can have those moments.
Have your moments.
You have to have those moments, right?
Yep.
So it's not about having the moments, it's about what happens when you have the moments, about how long you're gonna allow that moment.
Process
not a moment anymore, right? It's just this long thing, this long tunnel, this cavern that you're in.
It's like constantly facing that mirror every single second. Yep.
Yes. And it's so funny that you say that. And I don't know, I know, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it, but I literally have a chapter entitled, The Man in the Mirror, the Woman in the Mirror. But it's exactly what you're saying. Like, who do you see? That's actually one of my questions. But so you have to hold that mirror up to self.
Right.
And be honest with yourself, because if you can't be honest with yourself, who are you going to be honest with? So that's really important. So thank you for sharing that. So what about you, Jarvis? Either a time in which you felt truly resilient, or a time in which you maybe struggle a little bit with your resilience?
I think this was a bit of both. It was similar to Letitia's story, motivated by my son. He was a baby, I think not even a year old at the time, and I was working at a high-speed internet company as a tech support guy, and our company got bought by another company, and that new company decided to shut our location down, and so with no warning. And so needless to say, I lost my job along with about 50 others, and I was unemployed for about 4 months. But I think during that 4 months, that was like a cocoon for me to step up my life. So after the 4 months is up, I found a job at a tech support company, and I was doing that thing, and I was like, okay, I was on fire at that point. So I'm working, getting the money flowing and stuff again. And so I decided to take on another job so that, I could make sure all the bills were caught up, the house continued to be paid for, the baby stuff, and, the new truck and all that kind of stuff, making sure everything was straight. But then also a switch went off that, okay, I could either work 2 jobs for the rest of my life to scrape by, or I can go back to school and do what I was supposed to do in the first place. And so in addition to those 2 jobs, I started school. I went back to college. Fortunately, one of those jobs was at a college, and most people don't know this, but if you work at a university or a college, you get to take free classes. And so I took advantage of that to complete my degree. And so, like I said, I'm still on fire at this point. So I finished that degree in 2008. And I think that next spring, that fall, completed it that fall. That next spring, I was right back at grad school working on my master's, and knocked that out in 15 months. And so now I'm actually working on my doctorate. And so I think having that bad experience, that actually was a catalyst to make me move on to the next level.
Right. I mean, I'm shaking my head because, like I said, this is the third interview, and I posed that question to all of my guests, and at least half of them, maybe a little bit more, had a story that started with them not feeling as resilient as they really wanted or needed to be, but because of their perseverance, their community really helping push them, that it moved into a truly resilient moment. And I think that makes a lot of sense. If you're not going to stay down, right? You get kicked down, you're not necessarily going to stay down. You need to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? And sometimes you don't even realize of what you're capable of until you are put in a position in which you really have to dig deep. Now, we don't always want to grow that way because it hurts, but that happens, right? That definitely happens. Good. I mean, thank you guys for sharing. Let me ask you this question, and you can answer it first, Jarvis. So when you look in the mirror, who do you see?
As they say, that's a very good question. I see a person that has surmounted a lot of odds and has a lot of potential in the future.
Yeah, most definitely. What about you, T?
So I see, when I look in the mirror, what do I see? I see a very amazing person. I'm so, oh my God, I see my most authentic self. Like I have not been able to really embrace this side of myself. And as I'm getting older, I just had a birthday, y'all, that last week on the 9th. Thank you. I was like, okay, I'm like 9 days into 42. Like, okay, this feels good. This feels good. Okay. And I feel really good. So when I actually look in that mirror, I can look at it and really face it and not feel ashamed or not feel defeated. I feel strong. I feel powerful. I feel like I'm actually accomplishing some things in my life. And it's an excellent feeling. I feel peace too. When I look in that mirror, I see peace. I see all of that. It's like I see God just like boom, shining through me so strongly.
Wow. Wow. And it takes sometimes it takes work to get
It's
there.
a lot of work.
I think all that stuff that you said before
Yes.
is at a point where you can really look at yourself and probably be not just happy, but
Yep.
proud of the person looking
Of
back
who
at you.
I
And
am.
that's a struggle for people.
Yes. It's been like a 6-year journey for me of healing. So that's just been what I've been doing for the last 6 years, just working on myself and my soul's evolution. So and I'm just at the epitome of that at this point now, especially now that I'm able to help other people to overcome their struggles and things of that nature.
So that's a excellent segue into a conversation about self-care. So what does self-care look like in your life?
Let me tell you, I got a whole regimen.
Jarvis is not surprised, by the way.
I have to get out into nature, period. Again, true earth sign. I have to be out around grass. Or as you can see, I got tons of plants. You know me, even in my shops, I would have plants everywhere. So I'm one, self-care for me is just more about me putting that love and that energy back into me. So it's not me going to get my nails done, massage. No, I gotta go outside, get that vitamin D, acupuncture, meditating. I do exercise. I try to move my body at least an hour, hour and a half a day. Breathing exercises too as well. My watch be like, stop, breathe, 60 seconds, So like that's self-care to me being able, and I'm really learning it now because I do juggle a lot. I'm really trying to work on how to balance my life. It is kind of complicated because I got my hands in different pots, but I'm learning how to be like, no, sit still. Yeah, stop. Don't do anything else because that is important for my self-care too as well, so that I can continue to keep moving on. So yeah, let me tell you, and I will not go through my day if I ain't had it. Look, I have not moved my body yet. Don't some people are with coffee. I'm not getting this day started until I am able to put back into me.
Yeah.
So I'm very strong on it.
And this could, and I know that before you logged on, Jarvis and I have the conversation about back issues.
And I was listening. I was like, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. The last year.
Oh, wow.
We struggle with that. You get a little older. Once you hit that 40 mark, you turn a little way and don't take that much, right?
Yeah, I was hiking. Oh my gosh, hiking all through the pandemic, and it really had like, oh, I was like, oh God, let me sit still for real. Like, what's going on, right? And I had pulled my lower disc or something, bulging disc, and it messes with my sciatica. But I've been doing things a natural way, and it's a year and a half, and I feel good. Like I'm back out there throwing punches and kicking and, back to running again. Yeah, it's been a journey of healing like all around. But acupuncture really has helped me with that.
And that's great. So in the book, I talk about the different types of self-care, so you have, like, your financial self-care, you have your personal, you have your professional. So I outlined 7 different ones. And so you touched on quite a few. So we want to look at looking at our self-care in a holistic way. Some of us lean into, exercise, like, my husband, he leans into exercise a lot. Some people maybe lean into, their healthy eating a lot. Some people are really good about setting aside quiet time, but we want to try to make sure that we're looking at our whole self. So what about you, Jarvis? What does self-care look like for Mr. Sheffield?
Okay, so I have varying levels of it, but one of them for me is just finding a quiet space and just meditating, and um, that works a lot for me. That may be just going, coming home from work and putting your stuff down and squaring everything away and just kind of chilling out back. We actually have like a forest and all that stuff behind our house, so just kind of chill back there in the quiet and just step away from all the hustle and bustle of the daytime and at work, and then going through traffic trying not to get ran over coming home, and then getting a proper sleep. That makes a big difference. I was, after working the 2 jobs and going to school, it was years before I was able to sleep more than 4 hours at a time. And so now I'm up to 7. So and so it's when you get that sleep, that refreshes your body. And another one that I do is like just reading, um, sometimes creating things like art, doing something that relaxes your mind and unwinds your mind. Is just let yourself free yourself up and just say, do something creative. But then also I like to treat myself every now and then. I'm almost 50 and I had my first pedicure last year and I didn't know how to act. so that's one. And going to do get through the massage thing, and on occasion just going to the beach, not necessarily like, okay, we're going to go to the beach for this big party or something like when you were a kid, when we were younger, but just going to the beach, I find it's one of the most relaxing places on earth. You don't have to have a bunch of money to run around doing a bunch of stuff. It's just being in that environment kind of unwinds me.
Yeah, and you make a great point about the financial piece of it, because to engage in self-care practices, you don't have to have money. You don't have to have a lot of money to go all these things. It can be something really, really small. And a lot of things are just simply free. Like, trying to maybe go to bed a little earlier than you normally would. You definitely need to rejuvenate yourself, setting aside private time, like you said, taking walks. If you're able, to do that. Sometimes it's really just putting yourself in a situation where you socialize, especially if you're a really social person. Maybe you need to call someone. And maybe someone live in another area you haven't had an opportunity to speak to. Some people really need that type of interaction. I think
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of folk, when we was in the pandemic and you're at home, those individuals lost a lot of that interpersonal connection. So even doing things like Zoom, if you aren't able to see people face to face, all that stuff is definitely free. And the whole financial bit too, and I think sometimes we maybe struggle with, oh, well, we need to save. You don't have to save a lot, but that financial security becomes really important. And we talked about getting older, and you really see what it looks like when you're older and you haven't really put in the work to save. So that type of self-care is important as well. How much time do we spend on social media? I know the three of us spend probably a lot of time because of the nature of what we do. But,
Exactly.
but even that, um, I saw not recently, maybe a year or two ago, and someone had calculated like all their posts and how many posts on Facebook they made, and what the hours that equated to, or how many words that equated to, and it was a lot. In one post I saw, I don't know, maybe the person said they had posted all together in a year, it was maybe over 100,000 words. Now, with me being an author, and this is what they said, it was like I could have written a book. If you put together all of those words from a post, you could have had a published work. But what do you have? You just have all these posts. So it's about how we choose to spend our time, and are we really choose to spend our time in the most effective way? And sometimes we just want to be loosey goosey with it because that's good too. how much of your 24 hours is loosey goosey and how much of it is kind of like productive in the way maybe you want. So I think all of that stuff is important, but yeah, we'll still be online because
Oh, and really quickly, you touched on a point with the community again, and that kind of ties into that, making sure that you have community, someone that you can talk to that's going to lift you up. You know, we associate with a lot of people, but there are a handful of people that you can call when you really need an uplift, and sometimes that's necessary.
it is. It is. Um, One of the prompts that I have in the book on the community asks you to list your allies. And you can think about your allies kind of like in the different communities that T kind of outline. You have your allies at home, you have allies maybe at work, you have allies maybe in your physical neighborhood, or maybe different groups that you may be involved. But we need to be really clear, like you said, Jones, who are our allies? And that becomes super important with our resilience, with our self-care. And I'm just going to ask you guys probably just two more questions, and then we're gonna close it out. You guys have been great.
Oh,
So you can complete this. Oh man, I'm gonna do this one because of T, and I think you guys kind of already answered the I am, but complete the sentence. I love, and whose turn is it to go first?
I know, right?
Well, you spoke up, so now that's you. I love, and you can however you want to answer it.
I love my life.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. That's great.
Sums it up.
Everyone can't say that, right?
Yep.
Everyone
Mhm.
can't say that. What about you, Jarvis? How would you complete this
look, look, I'm gonna borrow that from her. I
sentence?
love my life where I am at life right now. I mean, a friend just had a conversation where as I was driving home. I talk to my friends when I'm on the way home a lot of times if I'm not listening to an audiobook because traffic is it's gonna take me an hour to get home no matter
Oh,
what. And
I
so
got you. Me too.
after I was saying like, look, I'm not playing around with this Corona thing because I'm at a point in my life where all cylinders are hitting off and I want to enjoy it.
Right.
So I
Exactly.
love my life right now.
Man, love that. And then the final question, and it's open to interpretation. So you can be as creative as you want or as basic as you want. Your truth is your truth. So we'll start with you, Jarvis. What is the color of your resilience?
Oh, now I think I'm a little biased with purple because I'm an Omega
Okay.
coming up on my 30th year next year. And I learned a lot of resilience throughout that pledge process, and not just for myself. It's a poem that we had to learn called Bridge Builder, where we're not just worried about yourself, but building a bridge for people coming behind you, um, and also um, just being in an organization for this long and maintaining those friendships. It's been fantastic. But my color is purple.
Color is purple. Beautiful. T, what's the color of your resilience?
It's funny because I was thinking the same thing. Like my color is blue, right? Blue is my favorite color, always has been. Um, and I really, oh man, I'm so connected to that color. But overall, just going through being an entrepreneur at the age of 21, um, helping a small child get through a period of having cancer and overcoming that, being married, being divorced, you understand, being just every aspect and every part of my life and my growth and my development has shown me what it means to continue to keep fighting. I'm actually being able to see who I am and what my purpose truly is in this world and why I had to go through all of those things. It wasn't happening to me to make me feel defeated or just how sometimes we hold on to things and we hold on to it in the wrong kind of ways and we like, okay, we're supposed to be growing and learning from this, and you stay stuck. It wasn't meant to keep me stuck, but it was meant to help me to evolve. So today, the person I am, I can take all of that I've learned to help other people in their now. And I'm very appreciative of everything I've been through. So at first I couldn't say that before. Now I can look back at it and be like, you know what? I understand why I had to go through that. I understand how God seen me as an individual, how I never really seen myself, but through that, I could see that I've always been strong. I've always been kind. I've always been beautiful. Even if I didn't feel it, I've always had that light within me that was shining. And don't ask me how blue is related to any of that.
Well, I mean, it's your color, and what I was thinking when you were speaking, and then of course with Jarvis with purple
Mhm,
is that there's such a range of shades for blue.
mhm,
You know, from just as light as baby blue to royal blue, and it could be same thing with purple. It can just be that rainbow of our emotions, but it's all
mhm.
still your purple. It's all still your blue. And some days your blue shine brighter than other days.
And I was like, because it's not a blue color of sadness.
Mhm.
It's more, geared towards when I think of the ocean and I think of,
Ah,
yeah.
beautiful, beautiful. Well, that brings us to the end of our time together. That sounds so weird.
Oh,
Look, I'm not a podcast. I don't even know where that came from, but I'm just saying it. But it does,
Mhm.
because I want like to end on that note. But again, I want to thank you both. I love listening and learning from you today. I'm sure that our audience has as well. And I thank you just for your openness, for your honesty, for your willingness just to share more than a bit of yourselves. Right? It's
Yeah,
really
thank you for the
thank
opportunity.
you.
It's really hard to be transparent sometimes, to really speak about your life in these ways.
it is.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
guys, you guys are still growing. So you guys talk about you're not like you're still going, right? So you're in
Yep.
a good spot.
Always room for improvement.
Yep.
Always, you still got so much more to do, so many more people to touch, to bring into your light, but also to feel the light of other people. So, like you said, putting yourself in the right place with the right people. And I continue to look forward to seeing more of you guys, and I wish you great success. Right.
Thank you, and likewise.
Thank you.
So much. Peace, you guys.
All right.